Hello, my little ninjas. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News, and welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie, and my co-host, Boo Bear, down by the river. What's up, buddy? He already had his cookie today, so he's a little bit like, what? Which is a good place to be for a Boo Bear who didn't get a walkie today. So mean. He needs his walkies. Need my walkies. What are you doing? Um, I almost took a bong hit like 3 minutes before we went live on the air, and I was like, I can wait. No, I need it. I can wait. And I was like, I'm going to take a bong hit right when we go on the air. So, follow me and do exactly as you see. Boo Bear's like, I thought you were going to give me a bong hit, dude. You said you were going to give me a bong hit. We'll get you a bong hit in a little bit, buddy. Okay, so, sorry I haven't been around the last few days. I would really prefer to be making the show, but unfortunately, very, very, very unfortunately, my girl dog, Sammy, is very, very sick. So I've been staying by her side day and night. I sleep next to her. I've been getting maybe an hour of sleep, like uninterrupted sleep. I don't think I get an hour. I don't think I've gotten an hour of uninterrupted sleep for about 10 days, which is fine. What really matters is that I'm there for my girl. And you know what else really matters? She hasn't had a potty accident for the last 6 days. Ever since I stopped feeding her codeine and switched over to cannabis, she's doing much better now. Um, and I'll play a little bit of video of her and the Boo Bear and the next, over our programming. I played video of them many times. They're my beautiful babies, and I want to be there for them, as I always have been. It's incredibly important to me. My girl has these coughing fits, and it's almost like it's kind of like she's not gonna stop. So I just like to be there and like pat her on the back and say it's okay, I'm right here. But we're working on it. Um, she's eating lots of pot pies. She got a thing for pot pies now. And vanilla ice cream. She's getting plenty of vanilla ice cream, just like sick little girls deserve. So, and she's loving them both. So as long as she's eating and trying to she can't walk right now. Her hind legs are just really messed up. So I use like a sling under her belly to help her, go out and go potty, right? And I let the sling like loosen up, and she's like trying to walk on her back legs, which is very, very positive compared to where she was a few days ago. So there are signs that are positive, which is really nice because I love that little girl, and I just want her to not hurt. Okay, so I have a bong hits to take. I have a few videos to play for you. I don't know if you saw the Glenn Greenwald video last night. I have that in the lineup to play if I get to it. I also have warning from Homeland Security about some kind of a domestic terrorist threat, and the fencing going up around the state capitol. It's really strange to me that again and again and again they talk about how the election was legitimate, and I'm not arguing whether it was or not. I don't know if we have the right to argue against our government anymore. In my opinion, it looks as if we no longer have the right to speak out against our government. And the bullshit FBI that allows pedophilia to go on amongst Olympic gymnasts for what? A generation or more. The FBI, who I keep telling you is garbage, allowed pedophiles to molest little girls for more than a generation. Because that's the kind of people there are in the FBI. Okay? And I've told you this again and again. And it's the kind of people that are in the Homeland Security. It's the kind of people that are in the TSA. It's the kind of people that are in the CIA. It's the kind of people that are in our local governments. It's the kind of people that are in our national governments. They're just horrible, horrible human beings who don't speak out. Because it's not like the FBI was the only one that was contacted about this pedophiles in the Olympic training, Olympic coaching staff for gymnasts. They knew about this for over a generation. There had been getting complaints about this, and they told the gymnasts to be quiet. Oh, it's not that bad, and it's not. See, again, it's not just the piece of shit FBI, because FBI is a giant piece of shit organization, as I've explained for years now. It's not just the FBI. Congress people were contacted, right? Other law enforcement was contacted, right? I mean, it's not like you just contact the FBI and nothing happens. News organizations were contacted, right? And no one seemed to do anything. So again, the whole system is just broken, and it's broken. I keep telling you, these people have to go to prison in order to make the world safer for little children. I tell you this again and again and again. And I'm talking about the people that should be protecting them. Your local police. Pepper spraying a handcuffed 9-year-old girl. We all saw the video. I played it for you here. Local police threatening a 5-year-old boy. They're going to take him to jail. He didn't even do anything. They're just speaking out in class. They're going to take him to jail, scaring the shit out of him. A 73-year-old, 80-pound woman, roughed up by cops, and then we see him high-fiving back at the station. Okay, this is our justice system, completely broken. FBI, local police, Homeland Security, CIA, all of it, as corrupt as any organizations can possibly be. Or Congress. How many members of Congress do you think were contacted by these women, by these Olympians? We're saying, hey, we're getting abused here. Doesn't anyone care? And apparently no one did. It's like, it's the same thing with these Congress members who get every day tweet after tweet about World Trade Center 7. And then, they go on the Washington Journal, the call-in show on C-SPAN in the morning, go on the Washington Journal, and someone says, how do you feel about the controlled demolition, the obvious controlled demolition of the World Trade Center 7 on September 11th? And they go, oh, I never heard of World Trade Center 7. Completely full of shit. That's who our justice system, who our government is, up to its eyes. And now, apparently, you cannot question or protest the government, because if you do, you will be considered a domestic terrorist. A potential domestic terrorist, which I've explained before, according to the Patriot Act, according to the National Defense Authorization. All of you are potential domestic terrorists. I've explained this to you many times. This is why they can spy on your 12-year-old daughter's cell phone. Every picture, every text, every email. They can spy on you because your 12-year-old daughter is a potential enemy combatant. I mean, domestic terrorist, or whatever it is they're calling them today. That's how they see your 12-year-old daughter. That's why they can spy on her cell phone. All of us, every single one. And apparently, if you protest, it's a for sure thing. You're a domestic terrorist if you protest. And I want to mention about this January 6th, right? January 6th protest. Okay, I've talked about local Seattle police officers that were there at the protest that have been identified as being there at the protest. 6 of them from the Seattle Police Department. 6 officers, right? At least. Those are just the ones that have been identified. Now, the question is, right? You know, number one, I'd really like to know if anybody else has heard about this, about police in your local police departments being identified as taking part in the protest. Because what I'm thinking is, right, they want to make people, first they start with these protesters on January 6th at the Capitol. They want to make these people into terrorists because they're protesting the government, right? And consequentially making basically anyone who protests the government terrorist. As far as I can tell, this is the direction that they're headed. Now, that being said, we have these police officers in plain clothes, again, at least 6 of them from just the Seattle Police Department, right? So how many police departments are there across the country? And how many police officers were there? And why aren't we hearing more and more about this, right? So, again, whenever we've seen police officers in plain clothes in protest in the past, 99% of the time they've been there acting as provocateurs, meaning they're starting, they're throwing a bottle at the cops or something in order to get the cops to shoot back, right? Or whatever else, right? Now, imagine, again, just 6 from the Seattle Police Department, right? So how many were there? Maybe 100, maybe 200, maybe more. How many police departments are there across the country? 6 from Seattle, right? So how many more? Hundreds would be my guess, right? So, and you have to wonder, I keep thinking, you see these people on the front lines. Hold on. Hello, caller.
Hello, Moxie.
What's up, G?
What up? You know who it is.
Baby Z.
You know it. Hey, man, it's been a minute, man. I'm glad you're doing better, but I'm glad,
Well, my dog is very, very sick, and that's the reason that I'm not doing shows. I mean, or not doing shows as regularly as I have in the past. We did one on September 11th, and I think we did another one between then and now. But
yeah, I missed that one. I feel bad about that. I want to talk about that, but hey, it should happen.
Yeah. But I don't want to leave my girl dog alone because she has these little coughing fits, and I'm worried that, she might have one and there won't be anybody there to help her get through it, so.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to tell your dog to lay off, to put the bomb down every now and then.
No, I think, I think that it's good for her because, cannabis is considered, well, it's the only thing that actually works on the cancer as far as I can tell. But cannabis is considered to be an expectorant also. So if you're trying to get stuff up out of your lungs, it's a good way to, start stuff moving that direction.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense. I never really tried Mucinex, but I'll try that stuff instead.
I would. So what's
Definitely.
going on, Z?
Not much. Just been doing a lot of school stuff and all that fun shizness. My birthday's in a few days, so trying to. I got my midterm at the same day of my birthday, so I'm trying to do it ahead of my birthday, so I don't have to do shit on my birthday, which would be very appropriate, except for the combusting of the cannabis and whatnot.
Yeah, I got like 5 plants left to finish trimming. I've been trying to get a pot of butter going, but I still have a few more nugs to throw in there before. So I have like
Oh,
five
man,
more plants.
I love making that. I love making butter. I used to back in the day when I would get a lot more little leftovers from other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
So it was really easy for me to do it because it was like, okay, I get some free bud or free leftovers. It wasn't the bud; it was like the trimmings and stuff.
yeah,
So I was able. That's what you got to. That's the best way to do it. Is you take the trimmings and then turn it into butter, and then you're using the whole plant. As much of the plant as possible.
yeah. Well, I take all the little buds. I grew 20 plants this summer, so I take all the little buds and just
Dang.
throw them in the crock pot.
That's pretty nice. I have a friend of mine. Well, I don't know, like a former coworker that's also kind of like a friend. He started growing in his girlfriend / boss's yard, and yeah, they're pretty tall. They're like as tall as he is. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. Putting them in the backyard because he lives out in the boonies.
Yeah,
So you can just basically grow outdoors because nobody's gonna be watching you except for if the fuzz comes by with a drone. But what do they care? It's legal here in Michigan.
we had like an 11-foot tall plant a couple of years ago. It was
Damn,
funny.
that's basically a freaking tree, man. I've seen
It's
some of
funny,
those. It's not even a plant; it's just a tree. You got a weed tree out there in
I
your
had to
backyard.
I had to get the ladder out to make sure everything was going properly on top.
That's pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie. You get a 10-foot ladder for an 11-foot bud plant, and then that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. One day I'll be doing that one. I'm thinking. I want to, because I'm doing the school thing to go get a degree so I can get a house, and then in the basement of the house would be a wheat growing group. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, well, I just grow. See, the thing is, I think that the cannabis imprints on the people who grow it. So, considering that I use it for medicine, I want to connect with the plants as much as possible. It's really weird. This last crop, I'm extremely satisfied with the product. I know I want to grow much prettier flowers, right? But what I'm getting that I'm smoking is fine. I feel like it's better than what I'm getting at the store, and I've been getting pretty good stuff from the store.
I haven't even been to a store yet. They're going to open a store nearby down the street from me here soon, so I'm thinking I'm going to stop in there because I got the medical card. This state's kind of weird. Was like they got the recreational laws and the medical laws kind of.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this state
'cause
too.
you got to pay the excise tax, which is whatever. But I got the medical card, so I don't have to. It's all medicinal. But
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. I just want to check it out. It looks really nice. There used to be a flower shop there beforehand, but then tear it down because of something. So it's like one flower to another flower.
That's kind of cool.
It is pretty cool. But yeah, dude. So sorry I missed out on that. The 20th anniversary of us never forgetting that the 9/11 was an inside job.
Yeah, it was an interesting show. Some very interesting callers. The last episode was very interesting callers too. Some new people. The 9/11
That's
show.
cool.
The 9/11 show title was "Did explosives bring down the Twin Towers?" So.
Yeah. I am in the firm belief that was a controlled demolition. After seeing numerous videos from like I forgot the name of it, like the Association of Engineers.
Right.
That there's like a YouTube page of all these this society. It's not like a society. It's like a group of engineers.
Yeah.
That looked at it analytically and realized,
Something was
that there
wrong.
was something else going on outside of those two planes hitting it.
It's
And how it's like logically impossible for the planes, the jet fuel to actually melt steel beams or something.
Yeah, it's there's just fucking weird shit going on with this government, man. I'm incredibly
Oh, yeah.
tired of it, and this is the problem. You know, is that people want to act like that you all. They have you pointing fingers at each other, saying those people are the
Exactly.
problem, and it's idiotic. Okay, those people are
Yeah, it is.
Americans, and the only way we get a better country is by coming together.
Yep, united we stand, divided we fall. And that's why they want us all divided by like, oh, you're a Democrat, so I hate you. Oh, you're a Republican, so I have to hate you. You know, that's the part of the division tactics. Or like, oh, you're too poor for me to appreciate you as a person or something. Or you're too rich for me to appreciate you as a person. Like, it's all about getting us to hate each other instead of hating the power structure, the establishment that I always call it as in my comments and whatnot. The establishment that really rules America with an iron fist through the two coasts, through New York and San Francisco,
Yeah,
and Silicon Valley, and etc.
it's not so much hating each other as blaming the other person for what's wrong in this
Yeah.
country. You hear this a lot, you know. Oh, fucking liberals, socialists are destroying everything. No, it's the government that's destroying everything. It doesn't matter if
Yep.
they're liberals or conservatives or independent socialists. It doesn't matter. They're all fucking the people of this country. And they have you pointing fingers at each other, so it's never going to get better unless you recognize
Yeah.
the real enemy.
Now, Dirk, I would like to say that there's a good song when it comes to this subject, and there's two people did it. First, it was Genesis, and then Disturbed did a cover of it. It's the song "Land of Confusion."
Yeah.
That describes this subject and what's going on in our country perfectly. You know, everybody's yelling at each other and pointing fingers at each other. Well, really, what they should be pointing the fingers at is the people who are, you know, permanently in power, or the bipartisan establishment that works together to screw us all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes no sense. Look you have to respect freedom, okay? And that means these people are allowed to do what they want to do, what they think is right, the way they want to talk about their government. That's what freedom is. If you're not allowed to
Yes,
talk about
exactly.
your government, then it's not freedom. If they have to put a
Yep.
fence up around the fucking government, then it's not a free country. You know what that means, them
Yep.
putting a fence up around the government? It looks like a third world coup where the military takes over the government and they put fences up around everything. That's
Yeah,
what
so
it looks
West
like
Africa
in
over here.
this
No offense to
country.
West Africa.
In this country, that's what it looks like, and it's
Yeah,
fucking
it's bad.
scary.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it's better to describe it as scary because it's just it shows you the times we live in where you know people are applauding this behavior where it's like, oh, this is great, we're finally standing up for people who are outside of the structure. It's like no, you're defending the structure, which emboldens them to do more authoritarian bullshit where they take more of our rights away and give it to themselves. As the classic, rule goes, rules for thee, but not for we, as you see, like everybody has to get this vaccine mandate crap except for members of Congress and their staff.
Yeah.
So we have to get the vaccine. I have to get the vaccine if I want to keep my job, but
or go
they
to
don't
a
have
concert.
To get the vaccine to keep their job.
Yeah. Or go out to eat.
Yeah, or-
you have to show proof of vaccine now, or a negative test within 72 hours if you want to go to a restaurant to eat in Seattle.
Yeah. They're doing that with concerts now, too. If I want to go to this concert that I want to go to the night before Halloween, I have to do the same thing. I have to come up with a test. I think it's like 48 hours. Like, I got to take a test like the day before and make sure that I don't have the virus. So I'm going to have to buy like 4 tests just in case I get like some false positives. Because this is going to be false positives. And I'm going to be like, okay, finally I got the negative one. Let's go. I'm going to this concert. But that's ridiculous, because I have my opinions about the vaccine as everybody else does. And, I've done a lot of research on it on my own. And, I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure vaccines are supposed to make antibodies. And, this one, I haven't really seen any evidence of that. So
I don't know.
That's why it's like I'm not anti-vax,
Yeah.
Because I don't believe that this is an actual vaccine. I think this is more of an experiment to see if it could be a vaccine.
I think it's more of an experiment to see how much it can control the people.
Yeah, that and the mask thing too. Like I was watching the video of a freaking Nancy Pelosi's stupid little triple C fundraising event where like all the elites, all the nice rich people get to sit there without their mask on, but then the people serving them food, they gotta wear the mask.
Right.
So that's why it's like the mask feels like it's more about controlling people than it is about keeping us safe from the virus. The virus it's different.
There's a couple of things. It is about controlling people, but I think even more is about this whole fear thing. They want people afraid, and if you have everywhere you go, people are wearing masks, you're constantly reminded that you're supposed to be afraid of something. Otherwise, you wouldn't be wearing a mask. And like I keep saying, they got people so afraid now. They're afraid that if you breathe on them at the grocery store, they might die. So.
Yeah. People they won't even say hi to each other on the street anymore. I mean, they barely did before, but it's even less now. Like I try to say hi to somebody, they just walk right past me.
Yeah.
Especially at the store, because I go to the grocery store. I mean, it sounds kind of stupid if I wear the mask, but even though we don't have a mask mandate, but I just like to wear the mask because I'm fucking antisocial as shit. So. And I like to talk, then I wear the mask, it's like, oh, that motherfucker, he looks kind of weird. So, and then they don't see my mouth moving, so that works. But anyway, so it's like, I try to say hi to somebody, I got the mask on, they got their mask on, but then they fucking dart off on me like, I'm just trying to say hi. It's not like I'm going to goof all over here or cough or whatever. Everybody's rewording everything, It's like our language is changing.
I agree.
I blame it on the internet.
A lot of things are changing. It's it is kind of the internet's fault because people were having too much freedom of exchange of information, and the government can't deal with that. They're like they're just as dirty as can be, and if they don't find some way to keep us in constant fear and terror, we're gonna go after them. So.
Yeah, exactly how they're going after Nicki Minaj for saying that she didn't say that don't take the vaccine. She questioned the status of the vaccines because she knew somebody that had a case that
she said do your research. She said I'm not telling you not to get the vaccine, just do your research.
Yeah, and then they shut her down. They freaking took her off from what I heard.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't even say do your research.
I know.
You have to conform.
Yeah.
That's why it's like social media is dead. There's free speech over there. There's no free speech on social media. Not anymore.
Yeah.
There hasn't been for a while. But,
I agree. There hasn't been since Google bought YouTube. Almost the minute Google bought YouTube, the free speech on the internet or social media went away. Hey Z, I gotta take a break, man.
All right, that's cool, man. I'm just glad to catch up with you. Hopefully, I'll call you sooner or later. But
it's always good to hear from you. It's always good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's always good to hear. I'm glad to hear that you're still alive and kicking and doing your thing, and Don's doing all right. And you just keep fighting a good fight, man, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, hit up the weed store and give us a report next time you call.
Wow, we'll do that. I just gotta wait for them to open first, but I will definitely do that.
Okay, bro. Talk to you soon.
All right, you be safe in the meantime. Yeah, we'll do.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so I am not very good at being safe, by the way. And the point I was making about the police on January 6th, I was talking about the police. At least six Seattle police officers have been identified as taking part in the protest on January 6th at the U.S. Capitol. Now, my point is, again, if that was just from Seattle and there's hundreds of police departments around the country, how many people, it's at least six from Seattle, how many police officers actually went to the protest, right? And in the past, whenever we've seen police officers in plain clothes in taking part in protest, 99% of the time they've been provocateurs. They've been there to start shit with the police, right? So let's say that people like George W. Bush and Joe Biden and Barack Obama want to look at protesters as if they're domestic terrorists, including every member of Congress and all the law enforcement. They want to look at protesters as if they are terrorists, treat them as such, then which we saw all summer long last summer in Portland. You know, they dropping flashbangs and shooting pepper balls and rubber bullets, and it was horrific. So, as I was saying, if they want to look at protesters as if they are domestic terrorists, right, the best way to do it was to have an insurrection on the steps of the Capitol, which we can blame entirely on Donald Trump, when in actuality is this top secret project that the police from around the country came together and instigate this protest to become more and more agitated, right? I'm looking at the protest. I keep looking at the protest from, back when it first happened, and then days and days and days after it, right? But I'm looking at the protest and I'm thinking, where do these people get all this pepper spray? You know what I mean? It's like I wouldn't expect protesters, regardless if they're Donald Trump protesters or Black Lives Matter protesters or Occupy protesters or anti-war protesters. I've been to a lot of motherfucking protests. Lot. And the only people I've ever actually seen carrying pepper spray is the police, right? So if the police are there, all these police, hundreds of them in plain clothes, instigating, let's go take the Capitol, roar! Right? Instigating. Why would they do such a thing? Why would the police be there taking part in this? Right? Why? Because they want to look at protesters as if they're domestic terrorists. And the people pointing fingers at each other, saying, "Oh, the Antifa is the problem. No, the whatever, the NRA is the problem." No, these are all Americans. These are Americans. The problem is the government. The problem is the people who look at you like you're a terrorist. And if you're looking at protest groups as if they're terrorists, you really don't believe in freedom. Okay? And that goes for the left and that goes for the right. Okay, I have the right to say what I want to say. At least I used to. Right? And now it's like, oh, these people, every single day I get told how I'm a fucking conservative douchebag and a liberal socialist cunt. So every single day for the last 20 years at least. And I have no problem with that, because this is exactly what the problem is that, I could care less what you think. Number one. It's funny because it's true. But number two, what really matters is that you're pointing fingers at Americans. You're completely naked. You're buying into the programming, which is telling you these are the bad people, right? I keep telling you, the Fox News, the CNN, they're the same, right? And the way that I can prove it, the MSNBC, they're all the same, is because on the Fox News, they go, "Oh, these protesters are evil." And on the CNN news, they go, "Oh, these protesters are evil." Making them exactly the same. It's just, again, as I've said a million times, the Fox News is talking to the suckers over here, and the CNN is talking to the suckers over here. Okay? And I mean that 100%. And that's why they go, "Oh, these protesters are bad. Oh, these protesters are bad. They're the people that are screwing up our country." Right? And it doesn't matter that they're saying the side that you agree with is bad people. Yes, I agree, they are bad people. Again, sucker. This group, CNN, is talking to these suckers. Fox News is talking to these suckers. And again, they're the same. Because if they weren't the same, they'd look at the protesters and tell you what I'm telling you. These are Americans. Nobody has any business referring to them as domestic terrorists. George piece of shit Bush. Okay? In this country, we have the right to stand up and demand that our representative government hear our voices. And they refuse to hear. So if that's what's going on, what is it we're supposed to do? I'm going to play a video and come right back. I'm just saying, what is it we're supposed to do? You tell me. The telephone number is right there on the screen. I'm going to go heat up my tea. I'll be back momentarily. Thanks so much for tuning in.
So let's get more on all of this with our counterterrorism analyst, Phil Mudd, and our senior law enforcement analyst, Andrew McCabe. He's the former FBI.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Let's go right to the Capitol and the new warning about potential violence on Saturday. Our congressional correspondent, Ryan Nobles, is following the breaking story. Ryan, the Department of Homeland Security issued a new intelligence bulletin a short while ago.
Yeah, that's right, Jim. Even though Capitol Police feel that they have everything under control ahead of this Justice for J6 rally on Saturday, the Department of Homeland Security warning all local law enforcement involved in protecting the Capitol that even though there is new online chatter for violence that could occur Saturday, they need to be prepared for things to get out of control as soon as tomorrow. Tonight, former President Donald Trump is stoking tensions 2 days before a rally that has forced Capitol Hill into lockdown. Trump offering up support for hundreds of people in prison and accused of storming the Capitol on January 6th. In a statement, Trump claimed the accused were victims of a two-tiered system of justice and reiterated his false claims about the 2020 election. Our hearts and minds are with the people being persecuted so unfairly relating to the January 6th protest concerning the rigged presidential election, Trump wrote. His statement comes as workers quickly started erecting a massive temporary fence around the U.S. Capitol, turning what was once the most accessible and public landmark in Washington into an impenetrable fortress, all for a rally this Saturday that organizers concede might not even draw 1,000 people.
The official number we put down is 700.
The intense security posture is the byproduct of the very event these protesters are coming to Washington for. The January 6th insurrection, something security officials did not see coming and were unprepared to handle. They've promised Capitol Hill leadership that this time things will be different.
We just briefed them about the demonstration that's scheduled for September 18th, just the intelligence information that we're aware of and a little bit about our operational plan, about what we plan to do.
The Capitol Police are not taking any chances, in part because this group is coming to call for the release of hundreds of people charged with their role on that deadly day. The TSA is ramping up security at airports. The National Guard and local D.C. police have been asked to be on standby. There are worries some of the protesters may be armed and could be inspired by GOP lawmakers like Paul Gosar, Matt Gaetz, and Andrew Clyde, who, despite being among those under attack on January 6th, now empathize with the rioters.
This overthrows the government fetish that exists. I don't understand it, except there's a lot of bored people out there that probably never served a day in their life in the military and get to go play dress up.
Not one sitting Republican member of Congress is scheduled to attend. A few GOP candidates challenging Republicans who voted to impeach Trump will be there. And one congressman, Ralph Norman, will speak at an event hundreds of miles away in his home state of South Carolina. Still, that is not enough for some in Congress who believe both Republicans and Democrats should be speaking with a common voice and denouncing those who seek to excuse the conduct of those who participated in the January 6th riot.
I think the Capitol will be protected, but I find it any elected official that doesn't call out and denounce these protesters tomorrow, I think does a great disservice to our country.
And even though the former President Donald Trump issued that statement in support of those who remain accused of their role on January 6th, he's not expected to be here or play any role of any kind on Saturday, much like every other Republican member of Congress who has said that they are not going to be here as well. Jim, that's a big difference from what we saw here on January 6th. Of course, it was that big Stop the Steal rally led by the former president that served as the prelude to the January 6th insurrection. Jim.
All right, Ryan Nobles, thanks for that. Let's get more on all of this with our counterterrorism analyst, Phil Mudd, and our senior law enforcement analyst, Andrew McCabe. He's the former FBI deputy director and author of The Threat, How the FBI Protects America in the Age of Terror and Trump.
All right, people, I got the bong all heated up. I'm about ready to do a nice puff. Let's see. I wanted to talk about that again because this is clearly just the beginning. And what I'm saying is the reason there was so many police officers at that protest, and I'd really like to hear if anybody else saw news stories about police from their local police department there. The reason there was so many, it looks like to me, is so they could vilify the protesters, so they could instigate. That's the way it's looking to me. It looks like they got what they want out of it, right? Hello, caller.
Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Okay, how about you?
You know, it's fall up here in New York, so it's getting colder, and tension starts building up. And you have to start getting ready for winter. You got to store your nuts,
I got 5 more plants left to trim, and my nuts will be stored.
You have to store your nuts. If you do not store your nuts, you will not have enough nuts. It's very simple. This is my entanglement with winter time. I've learned to, I don't know. I've learned to agree with it on an agreeable basis. That's how I do.
It is what it is. I've never found it does any good to complain about the weather.
No. Well, cycles, like agriculture, you certainly don't complain about it. But you have to struggle with it. It's a struggle. Time to do this. You don't have any choice. And your point about the police being involved in the January 6th event, I think is very cogent. I think that's a very good point. I think because time and time again, we have seen where there are certain things that happen, and the result of these events ends up with more and more separation of the government from the people. And we see it happen more and more and more, where it alerts people to security fears that simply do not exist. And it's constant. Like, this is one of their main mechanisms. Like, well, how do we want to scare the women? Well, let's tell them their children can go to school, How do we scare the men? Well, tell them we're going to kill the children, It's over and over and over again. The fear thing is something that is so overused that it's gotten to this point. And I think that if we look at the January 6th event, and if you understand the police involvement, who are the people that are motivated to scare people? It's a pretty small it's a pretty small percentage of people, and they're constantly doing this. They're constantly doing this, and it's just, people need to just stop and say, you know what, I'm not going to let you scare me. There's no country attacking us. There's no invasionary force. There's no boats landing on our shores. These are just ideas battling against other ideas, but you guys want to make it more than what it is. And that's really what's going on in the global context. Like, what are the best ideas of how people should live? And the economy of the trees should win out. Like, eventually, the economy of the trees are going to win out, because that's what's always won out in human beings. Anytime humans start arguing about the economy, the end argument is the trees. The trees produce their nuts and their seeds in certain years that a lot of people feel are unpredictable, but it happens in masty years. Masty years are when they produce suddenly a tree that hasn't produced anything for 6 years just produces this bumper crop. And it's because everything wants their babies to live. And I don't know. This whole thing it's kind of stupid, actually. I'm at the point where it's like, this is stupid. And everybody knows we shouldn't be at war.
It's
Everybody
sickening.
knows.
It's beyond stupid. It's sickening. And
Yeah.
it's like,
I
if you
agree.
actually look at it and start to listen to these people, it's like you're just disgusted and you just want to vomit till you die. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to vomit till I die, but I do find it sickening. Yes. But no, I don't want to vomit till I die. But I do find it extremely sickening. Yes. You're right. Sickening is beyond recognition that it's wrong. And recognition of it's wrong is not quite at the level of it's sickening. Sickening is when you've seen it so many times and you've had to do this so many times knowing it's wrong that it's sickening. Like, it makes you sick. And it really does. And look we have COVID. I actually think that COVID is actually timely in that fashion, that we've fought all these wars for 100 years, 90 years if you want to count, since World War I, it's been 90 years. I don't think this is the normal condition of humanity. I don't think that our normal condition involves constant war. I really don't. In fact, I find that sickening. I don't think that's the case. No, I don't. I don't find that's the case.
No,
and I don't hear that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't hear that at all from the oldest generations of human beings on this planet. I do not hear where they're saying, humanity has always been at war. It's been constant since our beginning. No, that's not what they say. In fact, they say the opposite. They say, well, this is a very abnormal time, this is not the normal condition.
It's not really. Before the World War II, before the United States entered World War II, the people of these United States did not want to go to war. They did not want to go to World War II. They wanted nothing to do with World War II, in fact. They said there was protesters all in the streets, and it was like, yeah, fuck that. We're not going to war. And you know what happened? 9/11. 9/11 happened, and then they all got in line and fucking, okay, well, let's march off to war. We're all going to kill ourselves to fucking save some people that we never heard of before.
Yep. Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Very conveniently for the military-industrial complex.
It's very convenient how we find this pattern in every time we don't have
Yeah. So that's
an
what I mean.
actual attack on our soil. Well, per se. I mean, you could say Pearl Harbor was an attack on our soil, but it's pretty extraneous, you know. I mean, it's Hawaii. It's not like it's Pennsylvania or Michigan, you know. But okay, it's very extraneous, and it's always just on the edge, and it's always just enough to get us involved in what later turns out to be somebody else's thing. Like, it's not our thing. Like, this wasn't our fight. We didn't start this fight. We weren't in this fight. We didn't have anything to do with this, but somehow we got drawn into it. And that's been the story all the way up to...
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You said that this is an abnormal state. That's how I went back to World War II, because it was, again, the people don't want to be involved in this war.
No.
In war. They don't want, the people of these great United States do not want to be involved in war. And then, lo and behold, Pearl 9/11 happens. And, you know, next thing we know, you know, everybody's fucking signing up. People in the NFL are quitting their NFL fucking contracts to go and fucking march off to Afghanistan. Okay?
And Tillman is a whole nother story. The Tillman story is something I hope everybody goes and looks at very closely, because...
he was killed by friendly fire. That's why.
Well, how friendly was it? We don't know, but we do know that the circumstances involving his death are not exactly as was previously stated by the military, and that's standard military protocol, by the way. It's a very tough position to be a United States citizen and a veteran, because at the same time, you have to be able to take a stance on something that's completely unbiased. And on the other hand, you have to, if you're a veteran, you have to say, well, this is what we were told. This is what we were doing. And we're doing it under the direction, or so we were told, by the people. The people are supposed to be in charge of the military.
The people are supposed to be in charge of the government.
That's right. It's not up to the military to fix that. It's up to the people to fix that. So it's a tough position.
And if they have us divided, then the people don't have the power that they're supposed to.
That's right. The people need to get re-involved. And one of the things that I really do like that's going on right now, by the way, to go to the positive side, I love that more and more people are getting involved. Because there's way more people involved in politics. Just even if you look at the number of people that voted in the presidential election of 2020, that's fine. I love it. I love that they're getting involved. Just that gives me a positive vibe, because the more people that get involved and the closer they look at things, probably the end result is going to be much better than what we were doing before. Because what we were doing before was completely unacceptable. There's a huge number of people that were not involved. They did not know what was going on. They didn't have access to information. They didn't have a chance to go through it. And it takes years and years, as you know. If you start to look into how our government works and what it's doing, that's not a 6-month venture. That is going to take you years and years if you're not a person that's been doing that. And I think it's great that more people are getting involved. I don't see how that can possibly end in a negative myself. That's just me. That's my opinion.
Hey, Dave, I got to take a break. Okay, go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead, finish your thought.
Well, my finished thought is this, Mox. I come from the Odell family, where they're building the Odell House in Westchester County, where the French camp, Rochambeau, the General Rochambeau, camped out the army of the French to help us win this revolution. That's my lineage. And when I think when those people set forth this intention to free themselves from monarchy, I think the biggest thing they were freeing themselves from was not how to spend the money or anything like that. It was about who controlled our decisions of what we wanted to do. That's what it's more about. And we're one step away from monarchy, which is oligarchy. That's only a step away. We reversed from where we were when we won the revolution. You immediately have to go into democracy. But if you don't have an informed, involved, like people that want to get involved, public, that's not going to survive. It's not going to do well. And that's where I think we're at. Like we're just now starting to get involved. People got comfortable because like, oh, this is working, so we don't need to pay attention to it. And then all of a sudden they woke up and said, holy shit, what are you guys doing? And that's where I see we're at. And this is
Dave, I gotta go, man. I gotta go. Okay, it's good to hear from you. Thanks a lot for calling.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, so I got to take a quick break, but I think I don't know that more people are getting involved. Honestly, and if they're getting involved and they're on different sides, I'm on this side and you're on that side, then they're not making it better. They're actually supporting the way that the evildoers want it to be, with us separated as possible, instead of us coming together and saying, hey, there's no one worthy to vote for. And I don't want to vote for a war profiteer, because it's as if I am giving my consent to war profiteering, and that's unacceptable. I could never do that. That would make me feel, that would make me feel like I sold my soul. So that's what I'm saying, all right? I will play this quick video, go heat up my tea, and be right back. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you call. The number's right there on the screen, 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News.
As you can see, it's being built up, January 6th redux. But who's even heard about it? Do you know anyone who's actually attending this? Well, there's a reason you likely don't. CBS reported this morning, according to DHS, they have a very specific number, that 700 people are expected to attend. But that doesn't matter. The hysteria has reached such a pitch that the Capitol Police just erected fencing around the Capitol. And that's not all. Today, the Department of Defense announced it's been contacted by the Capitol Police, and they're ready to assist. Joining us now, Pulitzer Prize-winning independent journalist Glenn Greenwald. Glenn, they have a death grip on January 6th. It's a white-knuckled death grip. And they have to keep this narrative going. They're having a come apart about a rally that I certainly have not heard of at all for 700 people, which I doubt will show up.
Yeah, I mean, January 6th is crucial to them because, as we've discussed before, one of the leading priorities of the Biden administration, and they were saying this before January 6th, was to launch a new domestic war on terror modeled after the first one, although this one's going to be domestic and aimed at your fellow citizens. And so just like people wanted to invade Iraq before 9/11 and the 9/11 happened, they got to use that as a pretext. January 6th has become the linchpin to everything that they want to do, the idea that there's some kind of rebellion or insurrection. And that's why I know you covered George Bush's remarks on 9/11 on your show when he compared January 6th to the September 11th attacks that killed 3,000 Americans, a completely deranged comparison. The reason why liberals were so ecstatic is because that gave them the fuel that they most desperately need in order to justify a war on terror by saying the same threat that we face with al-Qaeda is the one that we now face with Trump supporters. And that last person you showed in the video clips were saying that, look at the war on terror the first time, this is how it's going to work again.
Yeah, except the means are all turned on the American people. So that's upping the surveillance state, right? That's increasing the barrier so the people can't really ever see their congressman, or it's very difficult. How worried are you, Glenn, that this will chill speech and the right to assemble peacefully, obviously peacefully? The people are going to be afraid if they go to any kind of event that's not approved by the elites here, they're going to be somehow categorized as an insurrectionist to be.
I mean, American liberalism has become incredibly authoritarian. You know, obviously one of their primary tactics is to use censorship of the internet. We see that already. And the fact that they want to take what was, in my lifetime, the worst civil liberties assault, which was the war on terror aimed at foreign organizations, and suddenly launch it domestically at our fellow citizens, they're already doing it, Laura. They're doing things like putting people they accused but never proved were at the January 6th riot, going on the no-fly list. They're already increasing surveillance. They have an enormous amount of armed security around the Capitol, which is supposed to be the people's house, which you can publicly attend. So everything they're doing is about transporting or importing this 20-year war on terror onto American soil aimed at American citizens. It's hard to imagine a worse civil liberties crisis than that.
No, and they're obviously they're completely silent about it. They just don't care. Meanwhile, the FBI, part of the surveillance state, seems to have ignored actual concerns and charges made by the U.S. gymnasts who were on Capitol Hill today. Glenn, they were hammering the FBI for ignoring what they claim was rampant sexual abuse by Larry Nassar.
I remember sitting there with the FBI agent and him trying to convince me that it wasn't that bad.
They made entirely false claims about what I said.
It truly feels like the FBI turned a blind eye to us and went out of its way to help protect USAG and USOPC.
So they were spending all these man hours tracking down grandmas in Alaska who walked through the Capitol, put others in solitary confinement, and yet these young women were summarily ignored.
You know, this came up a lot in 2013 and 2014 when I was doing the Snowden reporting about the NSA, that this is an agency that spent billions and millions of dollars a year to track really one thing, which was foreign threats onto American soil, and yet they didn't detect the 9/11 attacks. Why not? And what we revealed is that they were using it to spy en masse on the American public. And so when you're misusing police authority for political ends, when you're surveilling and monitoring not, you know, child molesters or things that the FBI is supposed to watch for, or foreign terrorist groups that the NSA is, but monitoring your own citizens for political dissent, not only is that dangerous, but it also means that these law enforcement agencies don't do the job they're supposed to do, which is capture actual criminals. And the example that you just showed is yet another point illustrating that principle.
Yeah, it was a total heartbreak today. Glenn, thank you. Great to see you tonight.
Okay, so I thought it was interesting. I've always found Glenn Greenwald kind of interesting. He says things that are, well, he talks about subjects that people don't generally talk about, and usually comes at them from a different angle than people would be talking about. And he used to tweet Mox News videos all the time, which was pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, so I have a video here about vaccine exemptions, which in Washington State now, all state employees are being mandated to be vaccinated by like October 15th or something like that, and a bunch of people, apparently, like 300 state troopers, don't want to take the vaccine. And again, I've told you, I've shown videos for you that there's Seattle police officers that don't want to take the vaccine, and that they're having a problem getting nurses to take the vaccine. And in fact, in this video, it talks about the largest number of people that want state vaccine exemption, COVID-19, are healthcare workers, which I find very interesting. I mean, and this is why I keep saying about this and the vaccine exemptions, is it, you know, when you're talking about police officers not wanting to get the vaccine, when you're talking about firefighters, EMT, ambulance people, EMT personnel, you know, nursing home employees, nurses are not wanting. These are all frontline people, right? So they're, why would nurses who are dealing with the sick people every day, who I would imagine, are in a constant environment of germs or whatever, and they don't want to get the vaccine, I don't know. I went to my neurologist today. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Hello, caller.
Hello, is this a private line? I'd rather not say my name. I work for the Seattle Police Department.
You'll have to speak up, caller. Can't hear you.
I'm trying to remain anonymous. I work for the Seattle Police Department. I'm over here smoking a joint. I don't want to take the job. I'm trying to speak out. I don't want my name known. It's hard out here. Like being a cop, trying to smoke a doob and then they want to jab you. And then people fucking, they're breaking the law, and then it's conflicting, dude. They're like, I am supposed to take the jab, and now I'm breaking the law. It's really gone ape shit, bananas.
The world is upside down.
I'm really just glad that you're sticking out there for the boys in blue that smoke weed and don't want to take the job.
They don't have to smoke weed. I'm just standing up for people's right to decide what's right for them.
Dude, let me tell you, sometimes we pull over people and then literally they have a fat sack of weed and then we just scare the shit out of them and then we're like, get the fuck out of here, and we have a fat sack and then we roll up a big old joint and we're just laughing our asses off and then fucking just roll on down to the Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Yeah, I haven't had Taco Bell for like 10 years.
Taco Bell. Get a fucking, a nice tasty beverage with your fucking tacos, maybe a fucking enchilada or a fucking bean and cheese burrito. Dude. It's rough out there being a cop and shit. You have to eat late night fucking bullshit. We don't get to eat all the fucking shit that luxury fucking news outlets eat and shit. It's difficult.
All right, I gotta go.
Being a fucking
Thanks for calling,
cop.
officer. Good to hear from you.
Salute, sir.
Thanks for calling. He hung up. I didn't hang up. Okay, so again, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing police officers, like in this video, where 300 Washington state troopers ask for over 300 ask for exemptions to not get the vaccine, because everyone that's a state employee has to get the vaccine, and in the video it will show that the highest percentage of people that asked for exemption from getting the vaccine were health care workers, and this is what I keep seeing is police officers, healthcare workers, nurses, right? Nurses, firefighters, EMT, ambulance people, right? So federally, all federal employees have to get vaccinated, right? Except for, I guess there's a couple exemptions, but except for mail carriers, mail people, postal employees, right? They don't have to, they're exempt. The whole organization is exempt from getting vaccinated. Again, these are people on the front lines, right? The police are dealing with the dregs of life, so to speak, They're on the front lines every day. They have to deal with these people who don't have homes, who are just the worst of the worst, right? So they're exposed to all kinds of who knows what, right? So that's very surprising. The nurses, right? The nurses are saying, hey, we have the right to choose whether or not we want to get the vaccine. I've shown you these videos. And it's to me, again, we got these frontline workers, and I'm trying to understand why the frontline workers, you know, we keep seeing these stories. I keep seeing these stories. I don't know if you are, about how hospitals are just overflowing. They're having to reschedule surgeries, and they're just the COVID is just slamming them to their brim, right? And I'm seeing these stories, and I'm thinking, nurses work in hospitals. Nurses are around all these people that they're saying are filling all the hospitals all over the country, right? So why on earth would nurses have a problem with getting the vaccine? So again, this is basic logic. I'm not telling you anything about the vaccine except for they're having problems getting nurses to take it. And again, I was talking about the mail carriers being exempt, right? The thing about the postal employees being exempt is that they're around these letters, right, that come from all over the world, right? So who knows what's on all the mail, right? So they're around all this, and then not only that, but then all day long, they're around this stuff, and they're going to everyone's house, everywhere in the United States, every day, and they're exempt, right? You would think that that's some really, this frontline stuff where, first responders, that's what I mean. And I know the postal workers aren't first responders, but they are, you know, like frontline people. So it's just really peculiar, you know, that those people would be like, yeah, we have every right in the world to say we don't want this, you know. You would think they would be the first ones to want to be protected, want their families to be protected, right? That's what I keep saying, is take the vaccine to protect your families. So I'm going to play that video about the vaccine exceptions in Washington State. Again, I heard today 300 state troopers that had, they had been approved for a vaccine exemption, but the state wasn't like acknowledging that they have the right to do that. So over 300 state troopers. So I'm going to play that video for you, and I'll be right back. It's a very short video.
New at 4:30, nearly 300 state patrol workers have been granted religious exemptions from getting the COVID-19 vaccine, but the agency says they cannot find accommodations to their jobs, something that's required by law. KOMO's Mo Heider spoke with the state patrol and is live in Seattle with more on the story. Mo?
Mary, the State Patrol says this is certainly a major concern because if accommodations are not found for any of these employees who qualify for that exemption, they simply cannot do their job. Now, WSP says so far 373 religious exemption requests have been made, 215 commission employees have been approved, and 69 civil workers have also been approved. They say they have not been able to find accommodations for anyone who has been granted the religious exemption. A big reason behind this, though, WSP says it's hard to find accommodations for commission employees in particular, like law enforcement, who have to deal with the public. Now, by the middle of next month, if workers remain unvaccinated and the agency still isn't able to find them accommodations, they could be at risk of losing their jobs.
The bottom line is, whether it's one, a few, or many, to lose anyone has an impact on this state. These jobs are important. They save lives. They maintain order. To lose any capacity for that is a loss.
This also comes at a time when the agency is dealing with a shortage of state troopers, about 85 to be exact. In the meantime, they'll still try to find accommodations, but as you mentioned, it is very difficult for jobs where workers are supposed to engage with the public, like state troopers, for example. And we also did reach out to the Washington State Patrol Troopers Association for some comments. We're also waiting for a response. In Seattle, Mo Heider, KOMO News.
Mo, what does the State Patrol plan on doing if they lose more employees?
Well, they do say so far a contingency plan is being worked on. They're also studying a variety of scenarios just to be on the safe side.
All right, thank you. At least 3,650 exemptions have been filed over the governor's vaccine mandate. The majority are from the Department of Social and Health Services, with 1,400. Other agencies with a large number of exemptions include the Transportation Department, the Department of Labor and Industries, and the Employment Security Department.
All right, so I don't know if you noticed that it said at least 3,650 vaccine exemptions. And it said that the largest percentage was social and healthcare workers, right? So, I'm just fascinated by this, that the healthcare, the social people who have to go out and check on people, social and health workers, I'm just fascinated. These people are having a problem, and if if police officers are having a problem, ambulance, EMT operators, technicians are having a problem with it, nurses are having a problem with it. It's to me, again, I just come from this place of basic logic. But when the first responders don't want to do it, then, there's something to question there, in my opinion. Okay, so I have one more video left about the Capitol Hill fencing going up. It's a very short video. But I wanted to play it for you because this is what the whole thing is about, right? Is that they talk about protesters being terrorists, domestic terrorists. If you want to call, the telephone numbers there. After this video, we're pretty much out. So they talk about protesters as if they're domestic terrorists. And I told you for a long time before January 6th that this is the way they look at all of us. Every single U.S. citizen is a potential enemy combatant, or domestic terrorist, potential domestic terrorist. And this is the way they get a spy on everybody's phone, on everybody's computer, on everybody's whatever. And that was long before. This is from right after September 11th. This is how they treated the American citizens. The thing is, now, in the past, you've always had the right to go out and protest. We saw lots and lots of protests in the last 20 years. But now it's as if, in the last couple of years, it's been as if protesters are domestic terrorists, are terrorists. They're the problem. And that's what they want you to believe, is that side is the problem, or that side is the problem. And this is the thing about the Fox News and the CNN, is that they're the same. They're just pointing at that side, and they're just pointing at that side, which is what these people want to hear and what these people want to hear. So they're just preaching to an audience. And everybody should know that. It should be clear. So again, there's no difference in them. So, where do we go from here? Recognizing what the real problem is. The real problem is the government. The real problem is this division that we want to act like is acceptable, right? This division between Americans, as if, again, we're the good ones and they're the bad ones. Again, every day I hear people call me a socialist liberal, and I hear people call me a gun-toting conservative, and neither one of those things fit. Someone called me that today, and I responded that, I'm a liberal in the way that Jesus and the founding fathers were liberal. because Jesus was a motherfucking liberal. Jesus is like, yeah, don't bow down to these fucking cunts in power. They're evildoers. And the Founding Fathers were exactly the same way. And if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you know that I am exactly the same way. So, I got this video. You have this video to call, and then we'll be out of here pretty much. So I'll be right back in 2 minutes.
There are growing concerns and new safety measures in place ahead of a weekend right-wing rally in Washington, D.C. Fencing is back up around the Capitol building ahead of Saturday's rally. A former Trump campaign staffer organized the event to show support for the January 6th rioters.
The people are coming to exercise their First Amendment rights on behalf of these political prisoners.
That attack, that siege, was criminal behavior, plain and simple, and it's behavior that we, the FBI, view as domestic terrorism.
The FBI has arrested more than 640 people so far for their roles in the January 6th riots. Some law enforcement experts are concerned state capitals and other buildings around the country could also be targeted on Saturday.
Right, so again, what I see with the fencing around the state capitol is they keep saying, you know, oh, you have no right to question the election, you know, and I don't think, I don't remember that being in the Constitution, that we have no right to question the election outcome. It seems like that what the Founding Fathers said clearly is that we have the right to question any and everything that we feel we need to question. And what I see is the people now in power, the elitist, you know, people and the Congress people and the White House people and local government, they hate all of your freedoms. You know, they swear. I keep hearing this fucking bullshit from the president, from the members of Congress, and they say, you know, we're here to protect the people. And they're not. They're not there to protect the people. They're there to protect the people's freedom. That's what they swear about an oath to. The Constitution. The Constitution which says you have these rights. And they want to chip away at them and act like they don't exist because they're trying to protect you. It's for your own good. And again, that's not their job. That's not what they swear a vow to, a sacred oath to, is to protect you. It's to protect your rights. So I despise these people. And it's not the right, it's not the left. It's all the people in Congress, all the people in the White House. I want them all to go to jail. And I've said that a million times. And it doesn't matter at this point whether we have some kind of evidence that they've done something wrong. They need to go to prison for the rest of their lives in order to make examples out of them for the people who come next. To know that we won't hesitate to do the same to you. Go ahead and put a fence around the state capitol and let's see how long you remain a member of Congress. Because, you know, that's not the open access government that we're supposed to have. And I don't want a bunch of people that live in constant terror of a few hundred protesters. Right? What's next? You know, what's next? I mean, we have protests in D.C. all the time that are, you know, tens of thousands of people. You know, I remember gigantic protests before the Iraq War happened, with good reason. So, at any rate, this is where we're at. And I think that we deserve better. I know that we can do better. Because I believe that we can do better. I know that we deserve better. I don't believe this is how the world has to be. This is how, you know, that we're on the edge all the time of whatever it is, the next terrorist attack, the next virus, you know, the next strain of COVID-19. We're on the edge all the time. You know, climate change, everything, we're on the edge with the world. It doesn't have to be that way. And it's entirely because of our leadership. So this is why we need to throw the people in jail. Because the leadership needs to fight for the people's freedom, not chip away at it. They need to chip away at anything which impedes the people's freedom. Because the less free we are, the less potential we have to make things happen in our lives and in the world. And that's what they want, is they want you to have less potential. They want to hold you bound. They want you to stay in your place. So, again, I would love to say we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, but I have a very sick dog, and I need to be close to her. So if I don't have someone who can sit with her, I will not be able to do the show. And Craig has a hot new girlfriend, so I think he might have a date tomorrow, which is what you do on a Friday night when you have a hot girlfriend. So I'm not sure that I'll be back tomorrow, but I will do my best to be back as soon as possible. We actually even did a show last Saturday, so you never know. But I'll do my best to give you as much advance notice as possible, and hopefully we'll be back to Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time very soon. Same Mox time, same Mox channel. And until the next show, thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon. And stay cool, because you got a phone caller? What are you waving at me? You got a phone caller? No. Okay. So stay cool, because one of these days this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am?
You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years, more than 60,000 videos, Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.